My name is Anshul. I'm the founder at WittyPen. WittyPen is a content creation platform. What we do is we help businesses create content for multiple channels, blogs, white papers, ebook. We work with some of the largest industries and companies in India, including Freshworks, Echo, Meesho, Swiggy, and others to help them drive content. We have recently launched a lot of other tools as well, which just help you get a head start from your content creation journey. I'll share a little bit more about it at the end of the session today. With me, the speaker for today is Sanjay Shenoy, right? Sanjay comes with a huge amount of experience when it comes to SEO. Sanjay is one of those individuals, who puts ROI right at the center when he's planning a SEO strategy. And I've seen that in very few SEO and professionals out there, right? He puts the ROI and then plans about how we can use SEO as a key growth channel, right? Which is super relevant for the conversation today. Sanjay, while he's worked with multiple organizations, the part of the SEO career, has also trained more than 1,000 students to kickstart their journey in SEO. Right, he helps them get jobs, and he's running a very, important course that you can actually go out and have a look at as well if you're just starting with your SEO career. But on the other side of it, Sanjay spends most of his time as a partner at BoringMarketing. I got to know BoringMarketing because they have an amazing presence on Twitter. They keep sharing a lot of awesome insights there. BoringMarketing is an SEO agency working with some of the best brands out there. Enabling SEO in across B2B and B2C functions as well. And Sanjay is the one running a lot of those things in the back end. Another very crucial thing, Sanjay spent in the last couple of months spending a lot of time automating multiple processes at BoringMarketing using AI in the picture, right? And that's when I requested him to come on the call in discussion today and share some of his insights as well, right? So Sanjay, a bit something that I've shared, but I think I would want to have pass on the focus to you, and you can share a little bit more about your background, a little bit more about what you do right on a day-to-day basis as well, and then we can go forward from there.
Sure. Thanks, Anshul. I think you covered most of the things, so I'll quickly run over most of the things that I've done. So I've been in the SEO space for about 14 years now. Started way back in 2009. Started as an freelancer, and then eventually started an agency. Ran that for about 3 to 4 years. Very quickly realized that I don't have the skill sets to run an agency successfully, because apart from just knowing SEO, you need to know a lot of other things. Which is why I got myself a job. Got into the whole startup space. Worked with this company called Thrilophilia, then Explorer, then Quicklow, and then got back into the entrepreneur space again. And 2020 is when I started my cohort, which is the SEO Career Kickstarter program. And since then, I've trained more than 1,000 people, in SEO. And along the way, I've helped a lot of different Indian companies also, like Mercedes-Benz India, Your Story, HDFC, Scriptbox, and a lot of other companies with their SEO. And this year, I partnered with some really amazing folks at BoringMarketing, and I'm basically taking care of the operations in terms of SEO and the execution bit of this. And we've been growing super fast, and it's been going amazing. And we call ourselves AI-assisted SEO specialists. So we have been tinkering with a lot of different SEO and AI tools out there, building our own set of tools also, where we feel the need to, and a lot of exciting things to share. So yeah, that's about me.
Interesting. I think you mentioned, you threw a lot of good brand names out there, right? I'm sure that super, clarifies the entire credibility and the experience that you hold, Sanjay. Sanjay, we have close to 100 people who already joined in the discussion today. I wouldn't waste my time, and I would get right into the point. Let's discuss how has the life of an SEO changed, right? And you can share experience from BoringMarketing as well. How has the change, in the pre and the post, AI as an era, right? You also mentioned that you call yourselves as an AI-assisted SEOs. Just share a little bit more about that and how it's working.
More than how my life or the life of everybody in my team has changed, I would like to zoom out a little bit and highlight on how it has impacted the whole SEO space, right? Because I think a lot of people are a little nervous, understandably so, but we need to break it down into two different buckets, right? So when people ask that, hey, is AI going to change SEO? there is a lot of nuance to it. First thing is that, okay, now, search generative experience is coming, SG is coming on Google, ChatGPT is there. So a lot of people are wondering if Google is going to be even relevant, right? Or rather, the conventional way of searching things on the internet is going to be even relevant, right? So that is the first side of things, and let me address that real quick, right? So a lot of people are like, the SG is being rolled out by Google and stuff like that. Will people even like come all the way and click on the links and stuff like that, because they're about to get the answers that they're looking for any which way? So to explain that, what we need to understand is that, first of all, SG is not rolled out completely, right? They're still experimenting with it a little bit. They are also not entirely sure how to roll it out completely. And in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, they did not make it the default response for a lot of searches, right? Which used to be the case a few weeks ago, and they stopped doing that primarily because I still feel that they are also experimenting with it. And a lot of data suggests that even with a full response, the CTR of click-through rate, for people who don't know, the click-through rate of all the listings below the SGE results has not gone to zero, right? It probably has been like shaved to like by 30 to 40%, but there is still a lot of people wanting to click on websites and trying to like gauge all of this information from. That's number one. Number two is that within the SGE result itself, right? So you are getting about a new real estate has been formed, so to speak, right? So there are like about 3 pieces of content that's, Google is showing. So a lot of people are now thinking that how do I end up in that particular space? How do I get all of the CTRs and clicks and stuff like that? So SEO per se is not going to die. I've been hearing this for 40 years, right? Like, every year something new is going to come and everybody is going to like go around saying that, oh my God, SEO is dead and stuff like that. I don't think that is going to happen. Yes, it might get impacted, but not to the extent that people are saying. SEO is still going to be a very important, lucrative channel, at least for the foreseeable future. That's one side of things. So I hope that that has been cleared. The other side of things is that, hey, now ChatGPT is here, Claude is here, Bard is here. Will people even require SEO folks? Will people even require like content creators? Will people even require like link builders and stuff like that, right? Let me tell you, yes, we do, right? And in fact, we are hiring. So if you are like looking for a job, right? So the reason why I say that is that most of the LLMs like ChatGPT or Claude or Bard and stuff like that, they have a lot of drawbacks. Each one of it has its own disadvantages and stuff like that. But more importantly, as an SEO specialist, you still need to kind of like control the vision of how the entire project is going to go, right? So when people could like handle like 2 projects before, you could handle like 4 projects now, but you are still at the center of it, right? Especially when it comes to creating content, right? It's not as simple as just going and clicking a button and like ChatGPT is going to give you a bunch of content. You can like slap it on a website and you're good to go. No, it's not going to happen that way, because like literally everyone is going to do the same thing. So manual intervention is still required. It's just that the whole process has become extremely efficient, and it's going to become even more efficient. The only thing that I would say is don't be scared of it, embrace it, because it's amazing what you can actually achieve by embracing like all of these LLMs out there. So yeah.
Absolutely. And Sanjay, I'll tell you, even when I used to work on a lot of strategies here at Vidipan with my customers, earlier on, I had to almost always start with a blank slate. Right? Yeah. Do the website audit, understand what sort of keywords are working, look at the competitors, look at the market, build a user persona on what are the pointers that would impact. Today, I do not start with a blank slate. I do have a couple of things in my head that I want to ask ChatGPT and just give me a very clear head start if I want to work on any strategy. So the time that I used to take working on one strategy, I can actually come out with 2 to 3 strategies at that particular time. Right? So that entire impact has gone forward. But you mentioned about replacing. I don't believe so, right? Because there is a human creativity. You need to know SEO to actually guide on how ChatGPT is expected to give you answers, right? But I love the fact that, hey, we're talking about SEO, the entire exercise being assisted by ChatGPT and helping us move much faster. Another very relevant aspect. So today, I think we've surpassed 100 people joining in the discussion. And when I was looking at the kind of audience, I was very clearly seeing a lot of SEO professionals. I was also looking at a lot of professionals, founders and entrepreneurs joining in the session today, right? And keeping them in the mind. There was so much noise you mentioned about is SEO going to go away? Are people changing? Would people stop searching? We saw a lot of websites going down, in terms of the traffics and all of that, right? as a business, right, what do you think? How should one think about? And we also had a recent Google update, right? While it gave a lot of good push to multiple websites, it sort of affected a lot of others who were doing black hat SEO practices, is how we call it, right? But again, right, what do you think? How should an entrepreneur, how should a founder or a marketing head think about SEO as a growth channel in the coming sort of time?
I mean, the best part about SEO is that you can kind of like predict what is going to happen thanks to all the data that is available with you, right? You know, you have keyword research, I mean, keyword search volume data, you have click-through data, you have so much data available.
Yeah.
Can allow you to kind of like estimate that, hey, is this channel even worth going after? And a lot of time, let me be honest, with or without AI, SEO might not be the best channel for you to like get into, right? And that is something that you need to figure out, right? Are you in a category which has an inherent demand out there? If yes, then SEO is definitely going to help you out, right? If it is a brand new category which nobody has like even heard of before, then you need to generate that demand, and probably you need to like focus on like Facebook ads and social media and stuff like that, right? So you need to like zoom out a little bit and think about, hey, is there demand? If yes, SEO is definitely going to be play a very crucial role in that whole thing. Now, will it be beneficial enough from an ROI perspective is something that you can go ahead and do, right? You know, in fact, like in my training program, also I share this framework called the AREP framework, which I came up with, and which allows you to kind of like figure out the opportunity and how will the opportunity look like once it's translated to like revenue and leads and sales and stuff like that. So once you're able to like map that opportunity to revenue, you should be able to figure out that, hey, if SEO is a good channel or not. Now, coming to the updates bit, right? So, look, updates are going to happen whether you like it or not, right? So, in fact, I keep telling people, a lot of people ask me, a lot of my students ask me, a lot of entrepreneurs, founders ask me that, hey, what should we do about updates? How do I like stay up to date with like all of these updates that is going on? My simple answer to them is don't, right? Don't try to like catch up with all of these updates, primarily because, honestly speaking, I think Google updates their algorithm close to 2,000 times in a year, right? Which roughly translates to 6 to 7 updates every single day.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to like go ahead and try to like play catch up with all of these updates, you're never going to win, right? So it is good. There are so many changes happening that your full-time job will be like to play catch up with all of these updates, right? So my point is very simple. Look, even Google wants this. Your SEO, your content, your website should be so valuable that Google becomes irrelevant. Google becomes redundant. And once that happens, right, ironically, Google is going to like reward you with like better rankings, better traffic, and stuff like that. As long as you're focusing on the end goal, which is attracting users. Because remember, like users have credit cards and bank accounts, not like algorithms, right? So a lot of people focus too much on pleasing algorithms rather than attracting and converting users. So as long as you do that, of course, you need to understand the algorithms. I'm not saying you shouldn't, because at the end of the day, that's a means to an end, not the end itself.
Got it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm seeing that shift very consistently, right? A lot of marketers that I'm now working with are doubling down on that entire innate understanding of quality. They're saying that, hey, if ChatGPT is here, the kind of content we want to now create is here, right? Because almost everyone out there can do what ChatGPT is able to do. Can we bring that unique insight? Can we add that one extra value which will ensure that user stays with me, that ensure that I have enough trust with the user as well, right? So that entire understanding is something that I'm seeing very consistently sort of changing in the discussions as well so far, right? And I was, just Sanjay, you were saying so many things. I could see a lot of people raising hands in the conversation. So folks, we've kept the mic on mute for now, but we do have a Q&A section on this. So if you have any questions, please put down on the Q&A section. In the last 10 minutes, we'll have a Q&A discussion. I'll pick up most of these questions and share with Sanjay, right? And then we'll try to address some of those. I also have, and Sanjay, just one more thing. You mentioned of frameworks. At any point of time, you feel there's something that we can share along with the audience, let me know, and we can actually do that as well, right? Moving along, right? I think you mentioned, about the SEO updates, and you mentioned this particular framework. I want to put myself, say, imagine that I'm a new marketer or an entrepreneur thinking of building, starting with SEO, right? And one of the first aspects is the strategy, right? how do I get started? How do I build a SEO strategy? And just give me a little bit that, a strategy that takes me along for the next 3 months, 6 months sort of a plan. And I can start seeing some sort of results with SEO, some sort of an organic traffic, right? So where should we start? How do we build a SEO strategy?
I think it would be best if I can just go ahead and like share my screen. Is it possible for me to do that here?
Yes, you can do that. Just give me 1 second. I'll just turn on. Can you try that now?
Yeah. Let me just open up. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry.
Sure.
So along the way, I'm going to just like keep talking, because like what is very important when it comes to strategy is like, first you need to understand that, hey, what are the issues on the website that we have, right? So that is what the audit part of things that is going to take care of. So AREP stands for audit, research, execution timeline, and projections, right? So that's what this whole thing is all about. And what we are trying to do is first find all the different issues that your website has in terms of technical issues, in terms of like, on-page issues and stuff like that. Because until and unless you are at a certain baseline, you can't go out there and capture all of the opportunities available.
Makes sense, yeah.
So that is why it is very important that you fix all of these issues. And then we move on to the research part of things, which is basically understanding the opportunity available for like the keywords, the search volume and stuff like that. And then the execution is like, you have identified the issues, you have identified the opportunities. What is your plan of attack going to be in terms of priorities, right? Which activities are you going to prioritize and which ones are you going to like deprioritize or not take care of at all? And then once you do that, what is the projections going to be like, right? How is it going to translate into like revenue and numbers and stuff like that? So just give me 1 minute.
And what I see here again, Sanjay, you're repeating the same, you're saying that let's keep ROI at the center, right? As a startup founder, as an entrepreneur, as a marketing head, one of the very key components is, hey, are we really getting an ROI? And that trust in this particular SEO as a channel is super important. I've seen that SEO is one of the most predictable. People say it takes time. I'm sure it takes time. Just be patient. But it's predictable. You'll know that you'll get outcomes out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is what the AREP sheet looks like. The first part is basically the tech audit sheet, wherein we do like a regular audit. And I mean, there are like plenty of tools which will allow you to do this, right? You have like Screaming Frog, you have Ahrefs, SEMrush, like take your pick, it doesn't matter. All you're trying to do is like finding out all the issues that your website has. Now, if your website is a brand new website, you might probably want to skip this because like there is nothing much to do over here because there are no issues as such. Right? But the most important part is like the research bit of things, right? So in the research bit of things, what we're trying to do is that what is the total opportunity available out there for all the different keywords. If you see here, we have identified this particular cluster. This company is about cold pressed juices. So this particular cluster has a total search volume of 3050. And these are all the keywords that we will be targeting in this particular cluster. And once you have identified the cluster, what we do is we go ahead and map it to a certain URL, right? We're saying that, hey, we are going to go ahead and optimize this particular URL for all of these keywords here with the intention of going ahead and capturing this opportunity, right? Pretty clear, right? So as you can see, we have identified close to 45 or close to 50 different clusters like this, which is going to like keep you busy for a very, very long time, right? So the idea is to like go out there. And if you notice here, we always start with the commercial intent keywords. If you look at the search intent funnel also, you have awareness, discovery, and commercial keywords, right? So start at the bottom of the funnel because that is where you're going to have your customers hanging out, right? Your most warm customers hanging out. Then you like work your way upwards to the funnel, start with commercial and then discovery and then informational kind of keywords also, right? So once you're kind of like arrived at the topical map of sort, do your competitive analysis, keyword gap and stuff like that. But then you have to think about your execution timeline. How are you going to execute this? What are you going to prioritize in terms of activities like your technical SEO, your on-page SEO, and what are all the content clusters that you'll be going after every single week, every single month and stuff like that, so that you have a plan for the next 12 months. You shouldn't be in a place where you're like, hey, what do I do now? That should never be the state of mind you should be in terms of SEO, in terms of a lot of things, in fact. So planning things ahead is going to like give you that opportunity to know what exactly you will be doing for the next 12 months. And then what we also do is like, okay, if we are going to go ahead and capture all of these opportunities, what is the number going to look like? So if in June we go out there and optimize 4 pages, which is associated with keyword clusters with a total search volume of 73,000. It is going to start kicking in about 4 months and saturate in about like 10 months, basically assuming that it is going to hit like #1 position in about close to 10 months. Now, if that happens, you're going to get about 5% of them as leads and 2% of them as customers. And if the average order value in this case is $172, this is the kind of like revenue that you can generate, incremental revenue that you can generate purely from an SEO perspective, right? So as you can see here, total revenue for 12 months is 1.1 million. For 18 months is like 2.6 million. Now, when you do this exercise, you are extremely clear whether SEO is going to be a viable, profitable channel or not. So this is an exercise that I recommend everyone to do, and that is exactly how it is going to like allow you to like understand whether or not SEO is the right channel for you or not.
Absolutely, right. Just summing it down in a way you mentioned it. And one of the very important things I also liked, you said that start with BOFU, right? I talk to so many people and they say, hey, SEO might work if we rank. I think if you genuinely create content and if your technical SEO is in place, you will definitely at least some results out of it, right? You will be out there because you're talking about the industry, you're helping the users genuinely. You will see traffic, you will see growth, and bottom of the funnel content is essentially not only necessary from an SEO perspective, but also from a sales perspective, right? It's essentially answering every question that your sales team is being asked on a more consistent basis. Fair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's there, and across so if you were to just I'm just taking this step back and I'm asking a very quick question here, Sanjay. When you think about this entire SEO as an execution, right, at BoringMarketing, tell me just 2 or 3 instances where you were able to sort of do that well using a AI tool, be it ChatGPT, be it any tool out there. You were able to do it in a more efficient way compared to the traditional human-driven way as in the earlier.
So what you saw was like when you saw the keywords, it was clustered together, right? So there are a bunch of tools out there which are available if you are willing to pay, which will like allow you to like cluster these tools in a semantic manner, which is like grouping together, which is like the same theme and stuff like that, related keywords and stuff like that. Now, as you saw, we had like close to 50 clusters, and each cluster had like 10 to 20 keywords, which translates to 500 to 1,000 keywords, right? So how would you go about like actually clustering all together and mapping with the right URLs, right? You can actually use ChatGPT to do that. So that is one of the ways you can like go out there and use ChatGPT or Bard or like Claude, whichever that you want to like go ahead and do that. So that's number one. Number two, Claude is something that we use to understand the brand voice. And this is something that a lot of folks, both in SEO and content marketing, completely miss out on. What I mean is that there is a certain brand voice for every single brand that you're going to work with, right? Do they want to be perceived as someone funny, someone like, formal, someone like, more, authoritative, more trustworthy? You need to figure that out, right? How are you going to like position yourself? What is the kind of language that you're going to be using when you're creating this content? And unless you have identified what the brand voice is going to be, you can't actually replicate that in all of your content that you'll be creating, right? So there is a lot of gap, and which is why you might notice in some of the website, 2 blogs are going to sound very, very different, and that should not be happening, right? So all the content on your website, be it SEO content, copy, email, whatever it is, it needs to be absolutely aligned with the brand voice. And to do that, you can use Claude or you can use ChatGPT to figure out what is the brand voice that these people are using. You can feed the existing content if you already have it, and figure out and reverse engineer the brand voice, and then like loop it back into your content creation also. Are you making it conversational? Are you making it like third person? Are you making it authoritative and stuff like that? Then for content brief, we are kind of like working on a tool which we have built in-house. What we do is for any keyword, what we do is we scrape the top 10 results and figure out like what are the subheadings that they're focusing on, right? Say, for example, cold press juice, right? If we go and look into cold press juices, okay, these are the top 10 results. These are the subheadings that we have. The other layer that we are doing is we do some kind of like sentiment analysis in the sense that, okay, now what is the gaps in all of the content that is already out there, which is basically an opportunity for us. And what is the pattern? Like, what are the things that you definitely have to make sure that it's going to be part of your content? And what are the different unique angles that each of these content pieces are using, right? So there might be unique angles, unique perspectives that some of these content pieces might be using. So we do this analysis to help us create a brief of our own, and then we go ahead and we have created this other tool called the Unboring Writer. So what this tool does is basically we have actually gone ahead and integrated ChatGPT, Bard, and Claude. Right? We're using all the LLMs. Bard because all of the content is updated because from Google. ChatGPT kind of like has a better way of like organizing the thoughts and stuff like that. And Claude is excellent when it comes to like creating content itself. Right? So this allows us to go out there and create content which is extremely relevant, extremely useful, and we can actually ship it out really fast at this point of time. Primarily because a lot of the groundwork is being done by the LLMs, but a lot of editing is also required. So these are some of the ways we're doing. We're experimenting with a bunch of other things also.
Absolutely. And you mentioned about the efficiency part of it, and editing is definitely required, but these tools definitely give a quick head start when you're planning, when you're structuring these things, when you have a larger amount of data. What do I know for some of the largest brands, they have so many keywords to go after. It just becomes super difficult for a human to sit and do that, right? As simple as clustering keywords based on the intent. Right? You have thousands of keywords. How do you prioritize? How do you cluster? There's very huge chance of mixing it up. I see very sophisticated brands still getting stuck into the issues of keyword cannibalization and all of that happening pretty often, right? Because there are multiple teams, multiple brands. It becomes very difficult to keep everything very cohesive. Sanjay, I'm going to take another opportunity. Please share some of the tools. You were mentioning a little bit about the first tool there, right? What tools become a part of your SEO stack? I think I want all of us to make a quick note of those things as well.
Sure.
And a shout out for them too.
Yeah, I think one of the 2 or 3 most important tools that I have to use on an everyday basis would be Ahrefs. Now people would prefer like Ahrefs, some people would prefer SEMrush. Doesn't matter. You do you. Right. So, but I personally prefer Ahrefs, and we use it extensively. And of course, we use that also within the tools that we have built. We use APIs to like gather data, do some data analysis also. That is something that we do. GSC also, the Google Search Console, gives you a ton of data, like a lot, very, very underrated platform in terms of like understanding data, understanding how your website is performing, and therefore use that data to kind of like come up with a strategy to make the whole thing better, right? I also use also asked helps you like gather questions which are coming in the people also ask section. That is also something that we do. Keyword insights, we use a lot of that for keyword clustering and a lot of other activities also. We use Screaming Frog. We use a bunch of different plugins. And for programmatic SEO, there is like a bunch of other tools that we use. So yeah, these are some of the things: Ahrefs, GSC, Screaming Frog, ChatGPT, of course, Claude. These are some of the things. Should be more than enough to get you started, to be very honest.
Super. I had this.
Sorry, just one more point. I always tell people that the tool is not the craft, right? So don't be like, don't be bogged down by the fact that you don't have access to all of these tools, right?
Yes.
The same way, just because you're wearing a pair of Nike running shoes doesn't make you a fast runner. Just because you have access to like, all of these tools doesn't make you a better SEO specialist or a content creator. Your focus should be on understanding the craft. You should be going out there and utilizing all of these tools to make you better rather than make you what you are, right? So that's something that I need to mention over here.
Absolutely, right, and I completely agree and echo your thoughts, because I think just take an example of Ahrefs. I think all of us know who've spent time on the tool that not all the metrics and data is accurate, right? It's far off from the reality, right? But what it does essentially is helps us prioritize what to go after. It just gives you the right signals on what to pick, what keywords to prioritize, and things like that. And as a marketer, I think SEOs are what? They're marketers, right? There's a marketer, but on the the fundamentals are going to stay the 4 P's of marketing, right? So you understand the product, you understand the positioning, you understand who the user is, right? Where you're selling, and all of that. I think those still become the fundamental to any channel of growth that we pick up, right? One last question. This might take a couple of more minutes as well, but just we're about time, and then we'll open up for the the Q&As as well. Sanjay, if you can just very briefly mention, if anyone who's starting building a new SEO strategy, or someone who's kickstarting SEO as a growth channel in their organization, what kind of goals or what kind of metrics they should track early on, or they should prioritize, because sometimes we try to complicate it a little bit, a lot more. But what to think about it, what to prioritize, how to go after in the early days?
Some of the metrics that you shouldn't be thinking about, let me talk about that so that we put it out of the way, is domain authority, right? A lot of people are like, hey, my domain authority is low. A lot of like founders and a lot of people like, come to me and like, hey, how do I improve my domain authority? Why do you want to improve your domain authority, right? You don't need to improve your domain authority at all, to be very honest. In my experience, with a with a website which has a domain authority of 9, right? That website even today gets like 100K visitors every single month, right? And so, which means the point I'm trying to make is that domain authority is like, or domain rating for that matter, is a third-party metric. Don't get like too, focused on like all of these third-party metrics. Your focus end goal should be actually revenue, right? Whatever you're doing in terms of SEO, is it actually going to get you revenue or not? That's number one. Now, for this revenue, what do you need? For this revenue, you need the right relevant traffic coming onto your website. So the other metric that you should not be tracking, I feel, this might be a little controversial, is keyword tracking, right? A lot of people go out there and like, track certain keywords. The reason why you shouldn't be doing that is because what happens is that, say, for example, you take the keyword cold pressed juices. You don't end up ranking only for that one keyword. You actually end up ranking for a lot of different variations of the same keyword also. So what is happening in this case, if you're tracking for that one particular keyword, rank tracking for that one particular keyword, is that that picture is both inaccurate and incomplete, right? So which is why you need to be focusing on traffic, the data which you get in like your Google Search Console. Now, of course, everybody knows that, traffic takes a while for the needle to start moving in terms of traffic. So a leading indicator would be impressions that you see in like Google Search Console. Now, again, a lot of people might hate me for saying this, like, hey, impressions are like nothing and stuff like that. Vanity metrics, like that's probably the biggest vanity metric that you can think of. I agree, right? It is a vanity metric. You shouldn't be like, celebrating just because you're starting to get impressions on Google Search Console, but it'll kind of give you an idea whether or not you're going in the right direction, right? Whether your website, the page that you've optimized for a certain keyword, Google is also considering showing that page for those keywords or not. Now, once that happens, you can start tweaking and then like, working on all the other things in terms of on-page technical link building and stuff like that also. So these are the few metrics. As long as you keep your eyes on this, that's more than enough. That will take care of your SEO performance monitoring as much as possible.
Absolutely. Interesting. Sanjay, thanks for this. The moment you shared some of these insights, I could see a lot of flame and eye rolling sort of emoticons coming up, because it's very difficult to digest, right? Someone coming up and saying ki, hey, don't track domain authority. I speak to almost every other SEO person and they are just trying to build more and more backlinks to drive a better domain authority, right?
You should be
doing everything around that as well.
Just to clarify, you should be building backlinks, but don't use domain authority as the metric to track your SEO performance. That's what I'm saying. You should be building backlinks for sure.
Absolutely. No, I think I just at the start, I think that gives a lot of confidence, right? Because I could also see a lot of websites who do not have a very high domain authority, but would very straight away go ahead and compete. And we see that graph of their rankings and the SERPs going up pretty fast. Again, we're losing on time, but before again I take ahead but let me go ahead and take on the Q&A. There's a lot of questions coming in, right? One of the questions is to Sanjay, right? Do you think the best strategy in this era should be writing by an AI tool plus editing with human touch for getting optimum results? Is that the key? Or, the way to think of it, how should we think of this entire AI in this? I did not cover in the discussion so far, slightly controversial, but what do you think?
Of course, I mean, the answer is an obvious yes, right? So, you should be like, because what will happen now is the velocity in which your competitors is going to create content has also increased. Yeah. Right? You can't be thinking about, oh, I'm gonna like post like one blog post a month and like be very happy with that. That's not gonna happen, right? Your share of search traffic should exponentially increase month on month. Otherwise, like somebody else is going to come in and take it over, right? Which means that you need to improve your output, but at the same time, you shouldn't be doing it by compromising quality, which is why, like, of course, you should be using AI to create content, but at the same time, a lot of editing is also going to be involved. But yeah, your output needs to be like quite high.
Absolutely, and I think that people who understand the TG and if they use some of these tools, it's okay. It doesn't really matter, right? Eventually, it should also read human. I mean, I feel right because if it reads very mechanical, I've seen
Yeah, yeah.
some of the very common words across blogs being written by AI. So I think that shouldn't be there. But let actually humans do their job as well from a editing perspective. What are your thoughts on SaaS SEO? This is slightly a broader question, but what do you think about SaaS SEO?
Bottom line is SEO is SEO. Doesn't matter it's SaaS, e-commerce, agency side, blah blah blah. None of that matters, to be very honest. But SaaS, we have a few SaaS companies also that we like service, and it's blowing up, to be very honest. Right at this point of time, like it's getting great traction. There is a lot of opportunity, a lot of different place that you can implement for like SaaS companies. You can use product-led SEO if you have something that is more customer facing product that you have. You can have like programmatic SEO that needs can be going so many different ways in which you can like actually play with like SaaS SEO, and can be super beneficial for your SaaS company. Also very important for SaaS because like at the end of the day, what I've observed, at least from my basic understanding of SaaS companies out there, it almost always comes down to like, hey, who's gonna like give this particular tool at the cheapest price, right? Which means that as a company, as a brand, your CAC has to be tightly controlled. And the best way to control your CAC is by using SEO as a channel, content marketing as a channel, social media and stuff like that, and bringing in that organic traffic so that your customer acquisition cost is like heavily controlled. So SEO should be definitely be one of the things that we should be focused on in terms of SaaS.
Absolutely. And I've seen, I mean, when I talk to SaaS companies, another focus that I'm also very seeing consistently coming along with some of these brands is, people should think about, people should think beyond awareness. People should think beyond just getting the traffic, right? And think about what experience the user is having on that, when they're reading that piece of content. Do I have the right CTAs in place? Do I have a right inclination towards my product? Am I really solving for that intent, right? Because just getting traffic wouldn't get us the next budget, right? That's as simple as that. So are we able to get those the right MQLs in our system is very, very important. So when you're thinking about SaaS, if you try to create high quality content, try to create something that will entice a user to come and either sign up to your mailing list, to your platform, to do some activity on your website, and go forward from there.
One more,
Another question. Yeah, please go ahead.
one more point, yeah. If you're a SaaS platform which has like a significant user base, what you should also be focusing on after they become your customer, right? What might happen is like, they might be having queries like how to do X on your platform, right? And you don't want to be sending them to another platform where, third party
Exactly.
platform where they're talking about probably potentially negative things about your product, right? You should control that side of things also. A good example is ClickUp, right? Some of you might know
Hmm.
the project management tool. They do a great job at this, right? Anything related to that particular platform, if you put in a query, they have a page, they have like a knowledge base page dedicated for that, already ranking on number one. They kind of control the narrative of that particular tool also. That is also something
Exactly.
that SaaS companies should be focusing on.
Exactly. And again, on the example of ClickUp, I think what they have also done very amazingly is they've put up so many perspectives on how a project management tool can be used, right? And
Yeah,
that's very, very interesting on how you pick up different use cases, different audiences, and pick that as a problem. And from that problem, you're trying to create content that solves for that
yeah.
is, right? So that's another very simple, very, very smart thing. I have so many questions coming in, right? I can't sort of put all of these in place, but
I have the time.
let me
I have another probably 10 minutes
go ahead.
if you're okay with it.
Yeah, so one more question, right? I'll take just one more question, right?
Sure.
So what benchmarks do you consider while building backlinks?
So the biggest benchmark is obviously going to be, is that website even relevant to the kind of industry that you're operating in, right? So you should ideally be going after like websites that are actually operating in your industry. And again, a good case for not going after domain authority is because people can actually sculpt your domain authority like very well, right? I've seen like websites which have like a domain authority of 70 and barely any traffic coming onto their website, right? So that shouldn't be the case. So definitely relevancy is number one criteria. Number two is, are they getting like organic traffic or not, right? Number three is that if they have like opened up like guest posting like for every single person out there, that's kind of a red flag, to be very honest, which means that they are going to like accept anybody and everybody, and it's become like a very spammy website of sort. So it should be very difficult for you to actually reach out to them, in the sense that you should be like following them on Twitter, LinkedIn, and stuff like that, and then building that relationship, and then going out there and doing it. Also, the other way of doing it is also, my focus is actually a lot on, we do have a link building team, but I try to think about link building from a passive link building. How can we create resources? How can we create tools? How can we create content in such a way that is going to attract these links very naturally, so that you are not putting so much effort reaching out to people and getting those links also. So yeah.
Interesting. That's a very, very smart point. One last question I'll take. I think this is very crucial. So people, there's a larger community of freelance writers that come at Witty and we work with. They're part of the organization for us. One of the individuals is asking that as freelance writers, what unique strengths can we leverage to stay relevant in the AI content generated era? What do you think from a writer's perspective?
I think you should niche down, right? So a lot of writers, what is happening is that they don't have the subject matter expertise, right? They kind of like write about anything and everything. I think that era is gone now, because like ChatGPT can write anything and everything. So people don't actually require someone to type it out for them. So you need to build that subject matter expertise, right? Are you going to be a SaaS writer? Are you going to be a B2B writer? Are you going to be a healthcare writer? Are you going to be a finance writer? Are you going to be a crypto writer? Whatever it is, whatever floats your boat, that's absolutely okay. But build that subject matter expertise, because if I'm looking for any kind of writers, I would rather go get a writer who has that subject matter expertise, because that is where you are going to get that unique perspectives from, right? Otherwise, it's going to be a very generic piece of content that anybody can write, and nobody is going to like it, right? So niche down, focus on a particular niche, build that expertise, and this is a way of positioning yourself also, right? When you position yourself as, say, a crypto writer, right? Anytime anybody out there, it sounds counterproductive, to be very honest. You're like, hey, I'm losing out on all of these other opportunities, right? So no, that's not the case at all. When you become an expert, or when you focus on a particular niche, anybody and everybody in that niche is going to be thinking about it. But if you're focusing on every single niche out there under the sun, I don't think it is going to like actually benefit you. So yeah, niching down would probably be the best antidote to like AI generated content.
Absolutely. And I could also very clearly see that. I think just one more thing on the same thing is there are so many niches where creating content, it's much difficult for a tool like ChatGPT, right? Because of that unique insight, it just makes more sense. And the industry is changing, industries, even including SaaS, finance, healthcare, I think they're changing almost every day. And that is where I can see if writers double down on some of these niches, I think we'll see a growth. And even at Vidipen, right, I'll be very honest, all the content that we do is human driven. So we spend a lot of time working with the writers, and we see that's going to continue to grow and scale as we go forward. So Sanjay, we're already on time, right? I think there are a lot of other questions. Folks, what I've done is I've taken a note of all the questions. Sanjay, I'll try and send across some of those questions to you, which we haven't really answered. Some of them we did answer along the way, but the ones that haven't, I'll try to send it across, and we might, if we have an answer to them, we'll send it in an email after the session as well. Right. But before we close, right, there are a couple of more things I just wanted to share, right? So I quickly share my screen. Sanjay, first of all, thanks. I think thanks a lot for doing this. This was such an amazing conversation today. Time flew pretty quickly, right? And we could cover up a lot of interesting conversations, right? So, Sanjay, as a token of note at VDPen, what we have done is we partnered with Sankalp Taru. It's an organization which, which was, it's an NGO which goes about. Right. So what we're doing here, Sanjay, is we've already, went ahead and actually planted a tree on your behalf. Right. This is one of the organizations which was initiated by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and he was the first one who planted a tree. Right. So we'll share the details. You can go ahead and have a look. There's a small token of appreciation from our end at Vidipen to show our gratitude to the time and efforts you've spent here at Vidipen. There's a certificate that we'll send across at the end of the conversation as well. Right. So, folks, for everyone else, if you are still with us here, do check out VidiPen. I saw some of the questions coming around, brief generator, meta writers. We have built some of these tools. If you want to go ahead, and if you work in an organization, we have some of these credits out there for you as well. Just go to VidiPen, sign up. You'll be able to access some of these activities. And when you're building your content strategy, your content plan for your organization, you can use AI as a part of that entire mechanism, right? Just try this out at VidiPen. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a great day and rest of the week. Take care.